with that said, I'm going to introduce one of my dearest, closest new friends that I've come to know for the last couple of years, Jen du Plessis. But I'm going to make sure that Kelly does the interview because he likes to talk a lot, as you see. Go ahead, take it away.
Well, Miss Jen du Plessis, on top of accomplishing things that no other woman had, setting the precedent in your industry, it's amazing that I told you when we saw each other this morning, that the cool thing is that you always lead with your heart, and you always make eye contact with people. You're always connected with them. So help me with that part. We're going to get into the part of what you do, but I think it's more important who you are and for the audience to understand that, because then once you talk about what you do, they want to be a part of it anyway.
Oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, the whole connection with your heart, by the way, I wasn't always like that. I wasn't.
I mean, you were a hard charger, because I'm not going to call you. I'm not going to call you by that name that no one's allowed to call you by.
Oh,
can you tell
in
that
business?
Yes, in no, that one
that name. Oh,
there's
that
a nickname that Jennifer or Jen.
Be careful.
I'm not going to. But can you tell me about that story? Because I think that it's a microcosm for all of your success.
Absolutely. Yeah. So as a young girl, I was called Jenny who ain't got a penny by my uncle. And he told me, you're not going to amount to much because your parents are poor. Your dad's an alcoholic, and your mom's a verbal abuser. And so, that set me up, to not really talk to many people because I thought I wasn't worth anything. So that's what I did. And it really put a hard shell on me. I had an armor on me. And one day I was asking people, this was way back because I just celebrated 40 years in financial services a couple days ago. I cannot believe that.
40 years.
40 years.
So you started when you were 2.
Thank you. I'll just pretend like that's good. But,
sidebar. Tell them about some of the accomplishments in the financial services that you paved the way for women in that industry.
Oh, well, I don't like talking. I'm going to talk about it. Yeah,
I can brag about you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
I'm allowed to.
I was in mortgage lending and was in the top 200 loan officers in the country out of 1 million loan officers, and funded over $1 billion in loans.
Can you say that? Can you say that again, very slow? The B word.
$1 billion.
So you funded that in your career at what? How long did it take you in your career to fund $1 billion? And you were the first woman to be able to do
25, 27 years, something like that. Yeah. Wow. It took a long time. It's not overnight. That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. But, we, so here I want to tell you this.
Go back to the accomplishment part. Go back.
So back then you didn't hire everybody to brand you and put your brand out. So I did a little email to everybody and said, hey, if you had 3, could tell me 3 words that describe me, what would it be? And everybody was saying, oh, you're great. And you're this and that, all these wonderful accolades. And then I got something from someone who said, not present. And I said, ooh. I'm going to have to put my big girl panties on, right? And make a phone call to him. And so I did. And I said, what do you mean by not present? And he said, well, you're always kind of surfacing. And I actually use this now. I say, stop surfacing and dive in and be a submarine, right? In a relationship. And it made me realize, wow, I wasn't present. I was sort of there, but I could never let anyone get really close because then they'd know all this stuff about me, right? And so I slowly started poking holes. And that's why, I love that you said that I have great eye contact because it's now second nature for me. But I'm always asking how I can take care of people. How can I serve them? How can I, help you? Like Maris and Ken, we've got a great relationship. It's really fun. Richard and Angel back there. But we have, that's I think what's happened is I've just morphed into this person that I should have been in the beginning, but I was coveted. And I think that's something that I want, everybody to understand, but especially women. I'm going to say something very disruptive. I can't stand it when I hear people that they're empowering women because we're already powerful. I don't need to be empowered. I might need to increase the awareness of my power, but I'm not weak, and there's no woman who is. So I just have a real big issue with empowerment because we're already powerful.
Well, I think that, you have the holy grail of both, because a lot of times people look at accomplishment and they run from accomplishment because they need to be in touch with their heart. And then they run from heart because they're like, well, I'm not going to have a great heart and be broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have seemed to find the holy grail. Let's talk about the accomplishment first, because a lot of times people talk about the accomplishment as it's a bad word, but it's something very positive for you because it created the platform. So let's talk about the positive parts of those accomplishments.
Yeah. I mean,
and being in accomplishment mode, because that's okay.
it's totally okay. I think the more accomplished you can make yourself, the better you can make yourself, the more people you can impact. And that's why I have a book called Impact. That's why my podcast is called Success to Significance, Life After Breaking Through Glass Ceilings, because the better that I can be, the more helpful I can be to others. And that's just the bottom line.
Well, I think the cool thing with you too, Jen, is that it's not lip service, because you hear a lot of people that have accomplished, well, there's not a lot of people in the world that have accomplished what you have in your business, but a lot of times they turn around and for show, when the lights are on, they'll put their arm around a kid who's starving and say, I feed children. And then the lights turn off and they shoo the kid away and then they move on. I've watched you and you're helping people all around the country, one of which is named Joe,
Yes.
that you're working with.
Yeah.
And you live this, but it's not just for the lights. How important is that? And how do you keep that in balance?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great question, because
I have great questions, Jen.
it really is a great question, because, I was just on the marketers cruise a couple weeks ago, and something that hit me there was that so many people are, and I hate to say it's because we're in this space and stuff, but look at me, see me, hyped up on me, watch me, and loud, and this, that, and the other, and I said, maybe I should be like that. Maybe I should start. Woo! Look at me, right? But then a girlfriend of mine that I met on the cruise, and now she's already a close friend. She said to me, "No, this is you, Jen." She said, "You're the one who people go, here's a card of Jen. You need to talk to her." And I went, ooh, that is me, because I don't like doing a lot of videos online. I'm pretty quiet about that, right? And my team's always saying, you need more videos. You need to put more stuff out. And I'm a little personal, I'm very, very coveted in that kind of sense. And I realized that is the business I want to have. And it already has happened. And it wasn't something I tried to do or manifest. It just became me, and it's comfortable. And so, so I'm going to be the quiet one, but I'm the one who's going to make the most impact.
When you look at the people who have
Whoever
graced,
said woo.
well, if you look at the people who have graced the stage and who are in the tribe with Secret Knock, you look at a Larry Namer doesn't have to do a bunch of videos to say,
No.
I'm Larry Namer. I started the E! Entertainment Network.
Right.
If I did, that's why God didn't allow me to do that, because I'd be wearing a Speedo and be baby oiled up and have everyone know that I did the E! Entertainment Network. That's what I would do.
Right.
And then you look at Elise Steinberg, who is so humble. He's the greatest sports agent of all time. All time. Yeah,
and
he's just super chill. Hey, how you doing? Hanging out. Then you take a Scott Duffy, one of the top speakers in the whole entire world, one of the greatest coaches, and one of the baddest serial entrepreneurs, and he's willing to share. You look at a Jen Duplessis, who paved the way for women in that industry, did over $1 billion. Talk to me about evangelical marketing, because evangelical marketing is exactly what you talked about. You're not passing out your cards, but the people you touch pass out your cards. How important is it for people out there to be the evangelist of your business?
Yeah, well, and I'm going to be talking about that at 3:00 today in the room here, talking about bird dogging, so to speak. I mean, that's the dumbed down version of it, of bird dogging. But relationships are critical for me. And deep relationships are critical for me. And I don't like superficial. I really don't. I mean, matter of fact, I even sought you out today. You walked by my booth and you touched my arm, and I'm like, that's Kelly. And then I grabbed my husband and I said, there's somebody I want you to meet. Let's go and really say hello to Kelly, instead of just, oh, hi, touch the arm. That is so important to me. And I think, and again, I'm not doing it so that you go tell everybody about me. I'm doing it because that's really what's important to me, is that we have a solid relationship.
Well, I told you when we first met that I was going to force you to be my friend for the rest of your life. You remember, you're laughing
Right.
because I told you this.
I know.
And I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah.
This event that we have that the guys are getting a preview of right now, which is Secret Knock.
Yeah.
Why do you feel safe at Secret Knock, at Prosperity Camp? Why do the Larry Namers of the world, the Lee Steinbergs, the Scott Duffys, the Jen Duplessis feel completely safe in this environment where a lot of times people don't feel safe because people are going to be grabbing from them?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, I learn from stories. Matter of fact, in my booth today, I had a little conversation with a gentleman that I just found out he went to Vietnam about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, or no, in 2018, he tried to get their voice, the voices of people there to be louder, right? Like our world or in our country. And he ended up being imprisoned, and he was incarcerated for 24 months. He got 12 years, but incarcerated for 24 months because he was trying to get a voice out there, right? These unsilenced voices like Michelle does. And, but the stories are what changed my life, those stories. And that's why I podcast, because I love these stories that inspire me and really, really make me realize that I have this beautiful life. I've been married to my husband for 40 years now. And and really make me grateful for every opportunity that I have, for every person I meet. And I love the stories that I hear at Secret Knock and the friendships that we have. And everybody's just casual. And what I love about Greg is he's like, no, if you aren't cool, you don't get to come. You got to be cool or you're not there.
You got to be one of the cool people.
Yeah.
And by the way, our whole philosophy also of Secret Knock is called hand in the sand mentality. I'm going to give it to you real quick. Imagine if you grabbed a handful of sand. When people give you their input, it's not to mess you up. It's only giving you a perspective from their point of view. So what we do is we say, thank you very much. And if it works for you, you keep it in your palm. If not, you let it slip through your fingers. What use do we have saying, yeah, but, and arguing it? Just say, thank you very much. And as you close your hand, that becomes the program that'll work for you. So throughout the next 3 days, you're going to be, with us right now and all the different speakers, all the different content. Have that mentality. If it works for you, keep it. If not, say thank you very much. And
Greg,
by the way,
why was it so important for you to, the thing that I saw different right away with Secret Knock was that nobody had any name tags and you didn't know who you were sitting next to. And I'll tell you an experience with mine.
Love that.
My first time going, yours was Lee?
Mine was Lee. He was sitting next to me and I said, who's this old guy?
Well, I was sitting
And
next
I
to
didn't talk to him, right? I didn't TTE, as Greg says, talk to everyone. I did not TTE. And he goes up there and I'm like, wow. And now I've had him on my show. And yeah.
It's incredible because I was sitting next to a guy and we were talking about my son and we were talking about baseball and basketball. Had a team called the Chicken Nugget Makers because the kids named the team and we were going for the championship and he was genuinely interested in me. We were talking and he said, would you excuse me for a second? I thought, oh yeah, he needs to go to the bathroom. And he stood up and he took the stage. And I said, oh wow, that's my friend, Jeff, that just took the stage. That's kind of cool. He's my friend. We were talking about my son. And he says, oh yeah, I was one of the team that created Priceline.com. Mm-hmm. But I just knew him as Jeff. And so it was the same way with you, Jen. I didn't know that you had done $1 billion in your industry, or else I would have probably asked you for a loan immediately when we met. But I met you.
She would have asked for a credit check on the spot.
Exactly. Then a different Jen would have come out.
Cool people. I wasn't sure.
But why is that so important to you to not have the name tags in the event?
Our whole philosophy is be cool. What that means, if water runs out on the table, don't complain. Just get off your ass, go get some water and bring it back to the table. Be normal, right? Trash is on the floor, pick it up, throw it out. It's not your mom's house. And if we surround ourselves with positive, like-minded people, the synergies and opportunities start unfolding. But when we start looking at people's name tag and it's a hierarchy of who you are, then it's not who you are, it's what you do. And I think it changes the paradigm in which we go into. And I do want to move on, and I want to close out with Mr. Porter, but I do want to say I love you very much. We look forward to having you at SK. You're a rock star. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
I love you too. I'm glad we're friends.
High five. High five.
All right. There you go. Everyone, Jen Duplessis, everybody.
Are you coming up?
Yeah, I'm going to take this right here. Patrick, take this one right here. No, stay up there. Have a seat. So this is just an intimate little group. So I know you've got a booth here, but I've been watching your business just blow up and expand over the last years. And you and I go way back, but it's interesting to watch one person speak it into existence. Tell us about your industry and what you're on the cutting edge of.
Well, I liked it earlier when you talk about stick-to-itness.
Yeah.
People go, wow, you're an instant success. Well, I created my first device in 1986. So, it's not an instant success. I took a lot of lumps along the way. And so my business is brain balancing and also now neuroplasticity because we can measure it. When I started, it was only biofeedback. So when you're thinking about what happens, it was skin temperature, heart rate, respiration, these kind of things. And now we can measure things and say, hey, what's going on? So now we're where we need to be because of the stress people are under right now.
Now, you said a word, I'm dyslexic, plasticity. Say it again.
Neuroplasticity.
Now, again, that's kind of like a rubber band. It's stretching, going back to its elastic state, right? So what happens is that the old saying is that use it or lose it, right? So your whole idea is that you can measure now how your brain is working.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't realize as we get better looking and more intelligent with age, what happens to our brain, it starts to unwire. They call it neural pruning. And that's to conserve energy. Our brain is the biggest energy hog. So if we don't keep using it like a muscle, like an exercise, it's not a muscle really, but it's basically energy. So if the energy in the brain doesn't get used, it starts shutting down because it basically says, if you're not going to use that room, we're going to take the lights out of it. And then pretty soon you don't realize it. As an example, how many people here speak more than one language, right? So you have a circuit in your brain that didn't shut off at 7 years old like the rest of us. So then when we go to learn a language, it becomes difficult. My science officer who speaks 6 languages fluently, we were traveling through India. On the 3rd week, he starts speaking Hindi. And I said, Francisco, when did you learn Hindi? He goes, we've been here for 3 weeks.
Oh my Lord. What a different mentality.
So he had the brain circuit. When the brain constantly shuts down so it can basically make room for new neuro activity because you're not the same person today. In fact, in my talk, I'll go more into this, but everyone in this room, every 40 seconds, every DNA pair is changing. I mean, every DNA pair. When you talk about your best self shows up every 40 seconds because based on the environment you're in, the people you're talking with, the food you consume, the water you drink, everything about you, your body is constantly evaluating and changing you. And it starts with your thoughts. Your thoughts change 2,300 gene expressions. So that's why you want to hang around what I call gainers instead of drainers.
Amen.
There are people like that.
Well, they're now starting to finding out that the synapse can actually be reprogrammed too. Am I correct? So we used to think that once you were in this type of mentality, you were there for life, and now they're seeing that we can actually reprogram those. Right. So can you talk about?
It's not really reprogramming. So let me kind of correct.
Okay.
We can build. They call it neurogenesis. We can make new neurons in this new moment because you are different. Everything is different about you. You don't want the old stuff. In the Bible, they actually say you can't put new wine into old wineskins. It's a metaphor for our brain. You can't put new thoughts into old thinking patterns. If you do, it blows out. That's why and I tell people, you don't have to have a breakdown to have a breakthrough. You can plan these things now. We have people like yourself writing books and telling people, here's the plan, here's what happened to me. If you're smart enough to look at other people's successes instead of focusing on your failures, there's a lot of success out there. We just find it and drive that behavior.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's interesting. When we were working on Thoughts Are Things, we sat down with these neurophysicists from Harvard, and they said we have about 64,000 thoughts a day. I know it's roughly, the numbers change, but majority of them are ANTs. It's an acronym that stands for automatic negative thought, the reptilian part of your brain to protect you, to keep you safe. And if thoughts were things, the majority were negative, then everything should be negative in our life. But it's the thoughts that we choose to take action towards become our truth. Is this right?
Yeah. So whatever you give energy to, you're going to activate. So it's like you can have circuits in your brain. Most people don't realize that when you have your very best time in your life, your brain has the very worst time because all unhappiness stems from unfavorable comparisons. You're just making yourself aware of it. So if you focus on that positive, you stay focused on that, the energy, there's always the possibility something bad can happen. Some people just don't get out of bed till they have enough of those. You want to teach yourself to avoid those. That's what the old metaphor with the 2 dogs fighting in the head and things like that. There's all these metaphors because people understand that these corresponding, you're always going to get all the options. Your brain is a quantum computer. It's all the time giving you infinite options.
Yep.
So it's like looking at a room with a flashlight and it's dark and you think when your flashlight's pointing over there, that's everything. Yep. No, there's the whole rest of this room. So you just have to
they say every 7 years we learn every single thing we thought about the brain. We have to rethink and we have to renew. You've been studying this for how many years?
Yeah. Well, my dad was a Silva instructor, one of the first in the country. If you ever heard of the Silva method.
Oh yeah.
So I grew up with GSR machines, meditating when I was a kid, and seeing auras and things like that. My dad we used to have aura parties. So if you wanted to be really weird, you hung out with the porters. The whole thing was that at that time, like we were talking earlier, they thought the brain was fixed. When you came out of the womb, you were a carpenter, you were a lawyer, you were a real estate agent. But now they know that that's not true at all. You're the sum total of what you believe yourself to be up to this moment in time.
Beautiful.
And if we can get one new thought into the brain, neuroscience tells us a constellation of changes happens in the brain and you actually become a new person. You become a better version of yourself with that one new thought. So hopefully each of you this weekend will get one new thought and we can rewire that brain and have a constellation of changes that inspire us to even greater things.
To Greg's point, when he said thoughts are not things, that it's the thoughts that you take action on, how can we manufacture action in people? Because you could take two people, hear the exact same information, one person take action on it. How can we work on that part of it to entice people to want to take action in the first place?
Think of your brain the way that the metaphor is, it's like a computer. It's not really like a computer because we don't have any quantum computers that have 100 billion neurobit processing. But let's say that what we know with NLP, and I was fortunate enough to study with Bandler and Grinder when they were still around, and what we would do is they call them submodalities. So how we bring thoughts into our mind and how we process them have a lot to do with it. How many people have a black and white big screen television? No. Nobody does, right?
Nobody does.
When the Super Bowl just happened, you want a big screen color television. So anything you want to do more of, make it brighter. Anything you want to do more of, put your favorite music in the background. Anything you want to do more of when you're visualizing it, feel it, make it real and tangible. Now your brain will say, hey, they're focusing on that. What most people don't know is those negative thoughts you're talking about, that's part of our reticular activating system. This is the part of our body or our consciousness that says, I'm going to protect you. Remember, not too long ago, we were dinner. They say there's a difference between pets and in food is your pet's in the house. When it gets outside, it becomes food. We were food, so we didn't know if we were going to live or not. Now, we now know that you're not just who you are sitting here. You're the 7 generations who made you going backwards. You're also, which is kind of spooky, you're the 7 generations that will come after you. And science is proving that now. So you're like a bead on a string. You change, you pull the string, your reality changes. Not because you did anything, because there's an infinite number of those. You don't have to worry about creating anything. You have to place your focus on what you want, and like a marble being dragged on a carpet, you go to that place. It's already created. There's an infinite number of possibilities. That's the multiple universe theory.
I got it, Carl Sagan.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap up with this. Now you have a booth over here, and if you guys get a chance, you got to go check this out. You got a really neat device. Would you share with everyone what that is?
Yeah, we use light, sound, and vibration to enhance brain function. Most of you don't realize it, but you're really solar panels. My dad used to say that he was bald because he was a solar panel for a sex machine, which is really true. Each of you, all of your cells have something called chromophores. These are batteries that absorb light, sound, and vibration. That's the biggest nutrient that you're missing right now because people are in their homes, they're not grounding. There's a lot of things that go into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to feed the brain light. That produces ATP, which is the energy you need to rebuild and recharge. It also helps you to liberate the nervous system. Because of what's happened over the last 3 years, our nervous system has been dampened. Think of it like a governor on a school bus. We can only go 60 miles an hour because they put a limiter on that. Fear, anxiety, and stress are limiters to your consciousness. So we need to lift those limiters, and you do that by expanding energy. If you don't have energy, you don't have the ability, the capacity to make these changes. You'll fall asleep. So that's one thing we do. The main thing, though, is how do we balance the brain? How do we compress time so that you get more time, energy, and effort out of every moment? It's not by squeezing it out. It's by taking time to get outside of reality, refocus, reprioritize, and then return back again. When Einstein was said, if I had a problem to solve and only had 2 hours to solve it, I'd spend 1 hour and 45 minutes figuring out the best plan and then 15 minutes to solve it. Most people spend 2 hours trying to solve it, and by the time they get done, they don't solve it. That's what we're talking about. Step outside of yourself for a moment, get into that other unconscious world, and people can't do this on their own. I mean, I've been all over the world since we've been together. We've measured over 30,000 brains, and most people do not know how to meditate.
Who here would like their brain measured?
I would like.
Well, guess what? There's an opportunity right over in his booth to do so.
Can I ask a question though, Greg, too? We all know that the greatest products in the world, or the best-selling ones, and the ones that hit critical mass, are generally not the greatest ones. They're the greatest one. They're the ones with the greatest story.
Right.
My mom once said to me, and stay with me on this one. My mom once said to me, she said, more people would accept Jesus if communion was Twinkies and Mountain Dew as opposed to the nasty tasting cracker that they give you at church. How can we make what you're talking about consumable and to something that a young person that fell over on a little scooter, where we can make it enticing to want to do that? How can we wrap that story around it to make it cool and make it exciting for a person? Because for me, at 47 years old, I'm saying yes, because I'm saying I don't want to go to, but my 11-year-old son, this is something that he needs, but how can we make it the iPad for him?
Well, most kids do love it. If they just have to experience it. I tell people, I'm explaining it here. It's like explaining atmosphere to a fish. You know, you've got to really jump in the water and swim. That's why we have the booth over there, so you can experience it. If we figure that one out, we're gonna make, it's like Kelly chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah,
I want to do it.
Twinkies for the brain. All right, so here's the thing. We put in here a ticket to Secret Knock, sold out, standing room only, and we're doing a drawing. I guess they've been giving these tickets out to everybody. I am not going to stand up here and do a bunch of drawings. So if you're in this room, I'm going to do 3 of them. And if you got a ticket, you got a shot of going. If you have tickets, pull them out right now.
Guys, my family can't even make it. Like,
I am getting ready to go. Does anyone have a ticket? All right, here you go. Good luck to you. Come over here and read this out for me. Come on. Read this out.
5320099.
Okay, you gotta do it loud.
5320099. Once again, 5320099.
Next. Bingo. Okay, one more.
5320101. Again, 5320101.
Greg, can I choose someone? Am I allowed to choose someone?
She goes.
Yes.
Right
You're
there.
going. What's your
Congratulations,
name?
You're going to go. So
Yes.
you're going to go to Secret Knock. Over
What's
here,
your name?
Phyllis. Make sure you get her a complimentary ticket to Secret Knock. A round of applause for her. Good job.
And I could tell you, honestly, this event will change your life. Like the people that you're around, the people in the audience, not only the people that are on the stage, which is fun and exciting, but the people that you'll meet, that you'll be sitting next to, will absolutely change the trajectory if you allow yourself to be there 100%.
All right. And now we're going to be wrapping up here. Does anyone have any questions for us or comments before we close for the next speaker?
I want to go and get my brain done.
I'm going to go.
Can
get
you
mine
go,
done
can we
too.
go together?
You're going to go do it?
Okay.
Who here wants to go get their brains done over there? All right. What booth number are you in?
Why don't we just go over to it right
he's in
now?
the front row. All right.
Follow us over.
Put your hands
Paul was
together
just
for
here.
Best You Expo Secret Knock preview.
All right.
Bang, bang,
We're right
bang.
down there. So just
There you go.
come and see us
Let's
over there.
walk right over all together and we'll all go get our brains done. Yes?
There you go.
I'm going to be smarter, Mom.